Globalization is happening. It's been happening for as long as humans have walked the earth, but increasingly so in the past few decades, with the advent of the internet, radio, and telecommunications. It's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but it's here, and it's here to stay. Economies, political systems, and cultures are more connected than ever before, and there are 5 reasons, 5 flows that promote this. A few hundred years ago, information travelled as fast as a man on a horseback, but today information can spread instantly. The results of an election on one side of the world are immediately available on a country on the opposite side. Scientific knowledge is no longer exclusive to the elite and educated, but available to anyone who is willing to search it out. Information and communication technology means that a large amount of information can spread very fast, no longer limited by timely and expensive measures of travel. Conference calls allow a businessman from China and a businessman from the US to make important deals from their own country without the expense of time, travel, and accommodation. And this power isn't exclusive to business either. Ordinary people can communicate across national and international borders and share not only information, but also their culture, entertainment, and ideas. Whether you can just call this diversification of culture or homogenization and straight up appropriation of culture is very, very, very complicated and a story for another time. But just know that it is happening, and flows of information are largely responsible. The manufacturing of products can be an extraordinarily expensive and timely process. You need to extract the raw materials or import them from overseas. Then you need to pay somebody to assemble it and finally try to sell it for a profit. Transnational corporations have a vested interest in making this process as economical as possible. As a result, most products aren't made in developed countries. It's our job to design and sell them, and we have a relatively high minimum wage, adding further cost to every product. Meanwhile, entire economies have built themselves upon cheap labour. Cheap labour in developing countries, making products to be sold overseas for far more than they were produced. And though I'm talking about it like it's a purely good thing, it is not. Sweatshops often have terrible working conditions. Workers in HICs have suffered widespread job loss, and there are a whole host of other ethical issues. But it does mean a cheaper product for us consumers and a greater profit margin for big companies, and thus an improved economy. It also creates jobs in lower income countries such as China, which build their economies off of work like this. Migration has particularly been a point of discussion in the past decade or so, with immigration policies on many governments' lips. And once again, globalization is complicated. People may have to move to another country for a number of reasons, such as family or to escape areas of conflict, but a large portion of these people move for work-related reasons. As mentioned before, the minimum wage and working conditions tend to be much better in developed economies compared to developing economies, and highly skilled workers with qualifications in STEM subjects may want to emigrate for these reasons. Conversely, lower skilled workers may still want the benefits that living and working in a better economy can bring, including better housing, better jobs, just a better style of living. Whilst flows of product have led to improved economic efficiency in the production of material goods, globalization has had a similar effect on some services. A lot of services like online tech support can be located anywhere in the world and still cater to customers elsewhere and offer the exact same service. This is one reason why whenever you call up tech support, it's often someone who sounds Indian or East Asian. They're not necessarily in the same country as you. They don't have to be. Companies can relocate their high-level services such as online banking abroad but more often than not, they want to relocate their low-level services where labour is cheaper and more available. Capital is more than just money. It is any asset owned by a business. It may be money, but it may also be brand names, buildings, machines, equipment, stocks, or anything else. By exchanging capitals, companies can merge and expand, invest in and digest other companies. And a big reason for globalization is foreign direct investment, capital invested in other countries. I hope it's become clear by now that globalization is very complicated and we've just scratched the surface. It's a natural result of improving technology and travel that we would become more connected. But at the same time, you could also argue that the speed in which society is evolving is being surpassed by the speed in which technology is improving. And as a result, we have sweatshops in the East, unemployment in the West, and a whole host of other ethical issues. But at the same time, globalization has brought us massively growing economies. It's allowed us to spread culture in a way which is new. We've been able to help each other in ways which are new. And companies have also experienced a lot more competition, which one could argue is very good for consumers. We have barely scratched the surface on this topic, and we haven't even covered things like trading blocks or containerization or marketing, which could be entire videos in of their own. But that is a story for another time.